Assalamu alaikum. We'll continue with our new selection, which is a tip of glass Robbie, session number 2. We have vocabulary study today. First, we have a do now. What should we or what would you sacrifice for justice? So just think about that and share your answer in the chat box or unmute your mic and talk to your classmates. So what's your point of view? Or what are the things that you would sacrifice for justice? Learning intentions of today: to predict the meaning of unfamiliar words using context clause, to verify and to check your understanding of the meanings of new words by using online reference materials. How can I achieve that? We have 6 criteria. First, name it. I can predict the meaning of new words while I'm reading through context clause. Explain it. I can learn the meanings of new words using reference materials or online some online reference materials. Connect it. I can explain the meanings of new words in a way or another, or in a different way. Teach it. I can create new ways to use the vocabulary words. Last time we talked about learning during tough times, and today we have another question or same related to that question, which is why should we keep learning even in this hard time? Abu Huraira reported, the Messenger of Allah said, Allah makes the way to Jannah easy for him who treats the path in search of knowledge. So what do you think? You can unmute your mic and explain this hadith to your classmates, or you can just type in the chat box your point of view or how do you understand this hadith, and you can discuss it with your classmates in the chat box, or as I said, you can unmute your mic and talk to everyone. So activity 1, 6 minutes. Directions: skim the story. Which story? The story of a chip of glass Robbie. So skim it. This is the direction. So directions to skim the story, the chip of glass Robbie. Choose one unfamiliar word, guess the meaning of that word, and use the dictionary or context clause to identify its meaning. So you can type your answer in the chat box of Microsoft Teams or unmute your mic and talk to everyone. Okay, so skim this story, highlight unfamiliar words, try to guess the meaning of that word, then unmute your mic and talk to everyone, or you can type that in the chat box. Second activity of today: go to nearpod.com /login and enter this code to access your online activity. The question there is type your word and its meaning. So here, the same activity here, which is to skim unfamiliar words. So here you can just choose a word and discuss the meaning of that word with your classmates, or the meaning that you got with your classmates. Let's go to Nearpod and try to log in. ZESLQN, is that right? ZESLQ only. Join. So here I have to type my name, so you can write your name. Okay, let's say that. Then join the session. And here is the question: type your word and its meaning. So choose one word from your story and type that word here and its meaning. Okay, without using any online dictionaries. Just what you understand of that word, you can put it there. Okay, back to our session or presentation. activity number 3. Activity number 3 is to check your friends' answers in the chat box or on Nearpod. So the teacher will share with you the slide or the page of Nearpods where you can find all of the answers there, and you can check your friends' work there and pick your word or any other words, unmute your mic and explain it in details to the class. Okay, so you can choose your own words, unfamiliar words, or you can just take someone's words and explain to your classmates. Exit ticket. In the chat box here, type at least 3 new words you learned from our session today. Type that in your chat box. The homework, I have to remind you again that your homework is to read the selection A Shape of a Glass, Robbie, because today we started with some unfamiliar words, and next time we'll continue with our target vocabulary. Review chapter 9 and study chapter 10 of the novel Lord of the Flies, and complete one activity in read theory. Okay, session number 3. We'll continue with our selection. Today we have vocabulary study. Okay, so we have a do now activity. You have to go to minty.com, enter this code to access your activity and answer the question. Here is the question. So if you have a live session, maybe your English language teacher will provide different code for this activity. So type in one word, what would be your feeling if you live in apartheid culture? So let's go to minty.com. So you can type your answer here and submit it, so your teacher will check your work. Okay, so type one word and about this question and answer your question there. You know, living in a community where there's racism and discrimination, it's not good at all. Okay, people are suffering in different communities, and alhamdulillah here in United Arab Emirates, alhamdulillah, all people are aware and dealing everyone in the same way, and this is actually a good thing, alhamdulillah. Back to our presentation. After that activity, we'll start by the target vocabulary words. We have disarmed, morose, patronize, repute, and presumptions. So these are some of the target vocabulary, and the activity right now is to use the context clause. We have context clause here, okay, and to guess the meaning of the underlined words. Type your answer in the chat box. Okay, so each slide that the teacher will display for you, you have to type your answer, the guessing of the underlined words, the meaning of underlined words in the chat box. Okay, so you can take your time, read it, and answer that one in the chat box. So this is the first one. The second one, we have the same directions. And the third one, Jimmy, like many other teenagers, would patronize his parents at times. They undoubtedly didn't like it when he talked down to them. So just guess the meaning of the underlined word and type your answer in the chat box of Microsoft Teams. And here we have presumption. Also read the whole sentence, guess the meaning, and type there. Don't use any online dictionaries or any reference materials. Just read it and guess the meaning of the underlined word and type your answer in the chat box. And this is the last one, which is repute. Okay, after that activity, your teacher will discuss with you all of these words in the live session. Now, questions time. If you have any question, please You can unmute your unmute your mic and ask any question, or you can type your question in the chat box. If you are not attending a live session, you can contact your teacher through Edmodo or Microsoft Teams. Reflection. Check your vocabulary activity, the one that you did the previous activity, from 1 to 5. 5 if all of your answers are correct, and 1 if nothing is correct. Okay, so from 1 to 5. Here I have the words, and here how to use, and here we have definition of the word itself. Okay, once you finish, just type down in your chat box and type your rate in the chat box actually. So in the chat box I have to write 5 if all of my answers are correct. I have to write 4 if or some of them or 1 is missing. 1 if there's nothing correct in the previous activity. Feedback assignment. Fill in the blanks with the correct word from the books. So choose one of these to complete these sentences. Okay? Take your time, read each sentence and fill with one of them. Okay? Homework activity or homework slide. I have to remind you that our homework, which is to read again the selection, which is A Chip of Glass Ruby, because it's really important, because next time or next week inshallah I'll start with reading skills, so it's important to read the story. Review chapter 9 and study chapter 10, because we start with our live session discussing and analyzing chapter 10, so you have to review chapter 9 and complete one activity in read theory. This is the end of session number 3. If you have any question, go and ask your teacher. You can just contact your teacher through Edmodo or at the end of the live session. If you have any other questions, you can communicate through Microsoft Teams. Thank you so much and see you next time.